Welcome everyone to our interview with Herminia Frias, better known as Minnie, at the Cycling With Summit. Minnie is a tribal councilwoman and a frequent rider with Team Yaqui, which is a community of cyclists who are encouraging the youth to live a healthier and a happier life through cycling. Cycling With is a virtual summit that is celebrating the bicycle and riders who are breaking down all kinds of barriers. My name is Annalisa, and I am the founder and co-creator of Miles of Portraits, which is a magazine and a film about the people we meet as we ride our bikes around the world. And with that, I wanted to welcome you to the summit, Minnie. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
you inviting myself as a representative of Team Yaqui and including us in the summit.
So happy to have you. So I wanted to start with kind of a story of how I got connected with you all. One of my favorite parts about bike touring is that you end up meeting people through like such spontaneous situations. So last year I was cycling up a hill in Southern California, and I'm a pretty slow cyclist. So I was, chugging my way up this hill, and suddenly I see this fast road biker kind of glide by me. And he does the usual cyclist to cyclist check-in where they ask if you need food or water or anything. And I gave the thumbs up and he kept going. But then he kind of slammed on his brakes because he saw this continuous glucose monitor on my arm, which is an indication that I have type 1 diabetes. And that's where we learned that his name is James, and he also has diabetes himself. And it was through James that he introduced me to a community that he has been involved with, Team Yaqui, which is a group of riders who are all impacted by diabetes in some way. Their slogan is to fight diabetes 1 mile at a time. I believe 30% of the tribe has diabetes. Diabetes is what brought them together as a team. But it's really not all about diabetes. It's also about living like a healthier, happier life through cycling, and especially, together. So with that, I wanted to ask you my first question, which is just, Minnie, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your role as a tribal councilwoman, and your relation to Team Yaqui.
Great, thank you. Again, thank you for including us. And so Team Yaqui has been going now for approximately 10 years. And you're correct, it was initially established to bring a group together in a way that we can get the community moving, people that have diabetes or people that are working to prevent diabetes to become active, and in a way that is pretty much something that everybody can do, and in a fun way, and cycling was one of those things. And so by cycling, a lot of people, I don't think everybody had the expectation of the impact that it was going to have on individuals and the impact that it was going to have on the community. Myself, I'm a tribal council member. We have a citizenship of over 20,000 people. We're located in Tucson, Arizona, our reservation, but we have communities all throughout Arizona. Majority live in Tucson and also in a town called Guadalupe, which is close to Tempe, Phoenix area. So we have majority of our membership down in Tucson and in the Phoenix area. And so when we started cycling to bring awareness to diabetes and also to prevent diabetes and to control diabetes, it became a way for us to do something as a team and for us to get motivated and start moving. And and it became something that worked, and it became something that started to engage more people. And so my role as tribal council for a long time just became watching from afar and motivating them. I've always been physically active in different ways, and I've always admired what they did and said, oh, I'm going to ride with them one of these days. And I would ride at the gym, and say, oh, one of these days I'm going to ride with them. And I just hadn't gotten to that point because I always felt like, oh, I'm just so busy. I will get there one of these days. And one of the members finally, I was watching them ride on Facebook, on social media. And then he inspired me. And then another member, Iris, she inspired me, and Bernie inspired me. And I thought, man, these two, they're just like so avid. And I reached out to them and started writing with Bernie, and then started getting together with Iris, and then just started getting together with the team. And once I got connected with them, that was it. You know, it was just working with the team and seeing these kids and the impact that it's having on kids and families and myself. That, you know, it just pulls you right in. So that's just a little bit so far. It's been it's, you know, it like I said, it is definitely a problem that, not cycling, but the diabetes is definitely a problem, that a disease that affects us, that affects families at a very young age. And unfortunately, it affects us at a very young age too, as we grow older, that a lot of our citizens don't live to become elders. And we, you know, as a Pascua Yaqui tribe, we, you know, we have depend on our elders to share our stories, to share our culture, to share our, you know, ceremony, to keep our who we are alive. And more we're seeing that because of the complications of diabetes, that we're losing that. And so this was one way that we saw that cycling, keeping people active, keeping people engaged, that was one way that we can start taking better care of ourselves and helping our people live longer lives, because too many people had been leaving us at too young of an age. And when I say too young of an age, I'm talking about people in their 40s and 50s, you know, that are losing limbs or their sight or just passing away. So it is a disease that affects us very, very harshly. And so it's something that we live in Tucson, we live in the Phoenix area, we have sunshine most of the time. So it's something that you can do almost all year round.
Wow, that's devastating, and thank you for sharing that. And I think it's so beautiful the ways that cycling can be, you know, it can really be like a form of medicine, both
Yes.
both literally, and you know, there's so many different ways. Like I'm a diabetic as well, and I feel that the best medicine to lower my blood sugar is biking, is exercising, and it's not just that, it's also a great morale booster, and it just does wonders for your mood. I was wondering if you could talk about maybe one or two individuals that kind of pop out at you who maybe have been particularly transformed by this group and riding continuously with them.
Wow. Yeah, there's been quite a few. Just listening to their stories, I think when you ride with them, a lot of times you just meet people that you become friends with, a lot of people that you didn't even know. Of course, you know, you just kind of get out there and you've seen them in the community, or you might even work with them, but you've never had a conversation with them before. You know, there's people that have been struggling with diabetes and have lost a lot of weight because they've been cycling and have managed to control their diabetes. And I won't share their name because I don't know if they want me to share their name. So, and I didn't ask them if I could. So I probably should have done that before I joined you. So sorry about that. Didn't think about that. No. But you know, I remember one time when we were riding, she and she is so good. She's so tiny, and she's she's older than I am, but she does not look like she's just like so like cycling has just changed her life, and she's like so good and she's so fast, and I'm like, I don't even know how to like she does it. But anyways, I remember we were passing out snacks, and I was passing out snacks, and I asked her like, do you want some snacks? I think I had I don't remember what I had, but it had sugar in it. And she's like, oh no, I don't eat candy, I don't eat sugar. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, I have almonds. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll take the almonds. And that's when she told me she had diabetes, and that that how much, like, you know, how she was eating, you know, traditional foods, and that how she really had changed her lifestyle, and that cycling was like one of the ways that she was controlling it, and how she just shared her story with me. And I had no idea, you know, the impact that it had on her life. And I had no idea, because I hadn't been cycling with her very long. That was like the first that I had really had sat down and talked to her. It was one of our breaks on one of our long rides. And as I got to know her a little bit more, then I started hearing some more stories about how, you know, she started on this big bike, you know, and started at 1 mile, you know, basically starting from the reservation to the end of the street, which is a mile, you know, from our reservation to our C-store, convenience store. And just doing her best to 20 miles. Just really like, you know, just aerodynamic, and, you know, eating so nutritious and controlling her diabetes without medicine. She managed to get off all the medications, going back to traditional foods, going back to sharing how to prepare traditional foods. I mean, those types of things, and for us as Yaqui people, how important that really is, you know, for us to learn that too from her. You know, that's just one. And I thought that was really powerful. And Iris, you know, I always talk about Iris. I'm just gonna put her on blast. But Iris has been amazing, and she's always so humble. But you know, her taking Team Yaqui, which is really the tribal team that rides every year in our tour, that every year gets bigger and bigger, and just represents Tucson, you know. And we get so many kudos when they see people riding with Team Yaqui jerseys and say, wow, you know, this team is just awesome. I see you guys just like zooming by. But Iris has taken Team Yaqui and created the Indigenous Road Warriors, because she wanted to be able to ride, you know, 365. And she wanted to really take it to the grassroots and get more kids involved, because there were a lot of kids out there that wanted to do it and didn't have anything else. Then she saw a gap, you know, she saw that there was a gap, and these kids really look up to it and look up to her. And I see that, you know, that connection, and I see these kids when they go and they ride, and that transformation, how riding has helped them really channel their focus, not just, you know, live healthier lifestyle, but also behaviorally really help them focus. Because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes some of these kids don't have that type of focus that they may need. Their parents might be working odd hours. They may not have certain stabilities at home. They, you know, different types of situations. And you know, Iris has really managed to fill that gap, and bring other people in to help her fill that gap. And she just goes above and beyond to do whatever it needs to do whatever needs to be done to build up that Indigenous Road Warriors, to go 365 and make it all Indigenous people. And we all appreciate that, and, that's how we met you. And that's how we, just with Team Yaqui, and there were other writers when you came on board, people from Tahana Atam, and it's just so neat to be able to see people in the community and how she got engaged and in writing. And it really has affected people's lives and in a positive way.
Yeah, Iris is really amazing. I had the opportunity to ride with you all last fall. Actually, it was like basically a year ago this month, I think. I was in
That's right.
Tucson, and I visited all of you, and you picked me up at 5 a.m. because we have to beat that Arizona heat. It
Mm-hmm.
gets hot so early. It was just so great riding with you all and seeing how, like you said, you're such a community, and especially for those who are maybe coming from like less of a stable home or life, like this is such a like unit of people who are looking out for each other. I just remember the way like Iris was always looking out for everyone. Like there was a kid at a corner, like we stopped and she had their asthma inhaler like ready to go, and she gave me like energy bars when I hugged her goodbye, and she had like a cooler and snacks ready at the finish line. So she's just like one of those people that's just always
Right.
looking out for you. Yeah.
She sure is.
Um, During these hard times with COVID, if you're such a team who looks out for each other, if there's anything that you all are doing to lift each other up during these hard times.
Yeah. Well, Iris has been writing with the team, and with a smaller group of kids. She's continued the Tuesday Res Rides that she does, and the Team Yaqui has inspired other programs within our tribe to start looking at ways to work with other youth on writing beyond thinking about just diabetes prevention, but other ways that they can do things in a healthy way uh, during these times. It's a way that you can do things with social distancing. And so there are other programs here that are looking at working with youth, to help fight depression, to do healthy activity. And so we promote that here. Go out on a bike, go out. We have, in Tucson, we have the beautiful loop that we can go out and we can cycle. We can go out, we can go for a nice ride. And so we always encourage people, get on your bike, go out there. We have bike helmets, lights. We encourage, those types of activities to continue to get people to, there are still ways to be, to continue to get some fresh air right now, and and still be still be responsible in a responsible way during this pandemic, because it's just really hard for everybody. We've been, our community has been impacted in a very dramatic way. And these young kids sometimes, well, they just don't know how to process it, and none of us do, but they have really been affected. I think, well, they have been affected in a more than us. So it's always good for them to know that there's ways, healthy ways to process their emotions and their feelings.
We were talking about Iris and how she's such a, ray of sunshine, and she's such a cheerleader for the group. And I was wondering if you can speak to kind of what it takes to organize these rides and get people excited to keep coming back for more, because I know that the group is continuing to get larger, right?
Right. Um, well, I think that the good thing is that I think the good thing is that people that want to ride, they can always come out and ride with us. Or once they ride with us and they feel comfortable, that they realize that it's not a big deal. you know, and don't have to be intimidated, because, you know, you see these, you know, avid cyclers that you're like, oh man, I can't ride like that. Look at them. They're all in their gear and they're doing all this stuff. And so there's this, you know, perception that you have to be, you know, a certain shape and size and wear a certain thing in order to, you know, fit in. And we're not promoting that image, you know, what we're really doing and what she's really doing is saying like, hey, just come out and have a good time, you know. So I think that even though it can be sometimes, you know, so when we ride it around here around the reservation, our reservation is small, so it's not as if, you know, we have a big area where we can go, you know. We basically just ride a 5-mile loop, when maybe twice, so we can just come around to do 10 miles. But, you know, going out to the big loop, you know, it's a transportation issue. But other than that, you know, it's like finding somebody else to like say, hey, just join us for this ride. Wear your helmet and bring some water. And it's in the daytime, so you don't have to worry about the lights, and you'll be fine. And you'll realize that there's nothing to be intimidated by. The group is a good group. Nobody's gonna look at you weird. Everybody's here to help you. We're all in it to have a good time, and nobody's competing against anybody. And she brings that vibe, you know. So I think that's really, I mean, that's really critical, because I think that's one of the reasons why I hesitated from joining in the beginning, because it was like, oh, well, I'll get to it. I'm busy. I'll get to it. But it was like, oh, they're already set. They're doing their thing. But once I got into it, I was like, oh, wow, this is such a good group. You know, it's such a good group. And it's just, everybody's just doing their best. And it's such a good vibe, you know. It's such a good vibe.
One of the themes of this summit itself is just going against what the cycling industry tends to put forward in their marketing and their advertisements, which is like a particular look of how a cyclist should be, you know, kitted out, usually very thin and muscular and competitive, and it's all about, you know, speed. And I think that is what closes off so many people. And I think that's why it's so important, like what this group is doing, and to just show that the most important thing is to just like have fun, and you don't need fancy gear like to do this. Everyone is welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've heard from a lot of writers, you know, as Indigenous people, you know, we're all different shapes, sizes, colors, tones, and everything, and you know, that have not had a welcome response when they've gone out to some of these bike shops, and you know, have not been treated very well. And there's a local shop in town that has been awesome to us. And I said, why didn't you go to that shop? Like, they're awesome, you know. And I said, you know, I just couldn't wait. I had to get my stuff done. And I was really sad that you know, they got treated a certain way, or, you know, but it's not the first time that I've heard that, you know, from people that are, you know, just different sizes and different things, that are like, man, I just didn't, like, what the heck, just because like I'm not this, or I'm not like that, or I don't look like the typical, like, what, you know. It's crazy, but we're out there. We're out there having fun. Yep.
Yeah, you're doing your thing. I
We're
agree
doing our
that so
thing. Yep.
many bike shops are just really intimidating to walk into, you know. So it's good that you found what's the name of the one that, do you remember the name of it? The one that is welcoming in
Oh, the one that we
Tucson?
like? Aho
Yeah.
bikes. Aho bikes. Yeah, we like Aho
Okay.
bikes.
Well, we're almost done with the interview. I just had a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
I was wondering if you could tell us about like one of your favorite memories from your ride, or an instance of, I'm not sure if you know what the term type 2 fun is, but it's kind of an instance that was miserable at the time, but is like fun to look back on.
Well, that when you said my favorite, that was the first thing I thought. It was like my most miserable.
Yeah, that's usually the case.
Well, my first, that was the first thing that popped into my head, was because yesterday I went for a ride, and the first ride that I went on was like, I just was not prepared, and I went with Bernie, and I just couldn't even. It was hot I just felt like it was hot, and I just couldn't even like get over like these like just on the loop, just like this, just like the underpass. It was just horrible. And I felt like I just didn't drink enough water. I didn't hydrate. I didn't eat. I was just completely unprepared. And my bike was like really heavy. It was just like not even like what I should have, like, I was just like, yeah, I'm just not ready. I was ready to call Uber back. I was like, I'm just not ready for this. And it was bad. And I felt so bad for him because he was so nice about it. He was like, are you okay? He's like, it's okay, we could turn back. But we got through it. But I rode yesterday, and I'm just thinking like, wow, like I cannot believe that, just, you know, the difference of just like, as yesterday, as I was just going through the same area with ease, just with ease, like wasn't even, didn't even, it was just beautiful. Like I felt like, oh, it's so nice right now writing this. Like it feels so good to breathe. It feels so good to, just appreciate this weather, because it was actually cool yesterday, Arizona wise. But it just felt so good, and just the the how drastic the change was. So, but I think that's one. But I think that the cool part was like just the first L tour compared to my second L tour too. My first L tour, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for too? Because like the hills. Second L tour, I'm like, yeah, I got this.
For those who don't know, El Tour is a tour around Tucson, right?
Right,
Like around
right.
Tucson's loop.
Yes. And I signed up for the first time I did the 50 miles, because I was like, everybody's like, yeah, you can do 50 miles. If you can do 25, you can do 50. I was like, okay. And I did. Second year, I still did the 50, but I just wanted to beat my time. And I did. But I beat it by an hour. But I just did the hills, and it was just like, it just felt good. And I never did it with the intent of like hurrying up. It was always about enjoying the ride. That's always been my attitude. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. And so just going through it just felt so good. And I was like, what? Like, I can't believe I'm actually going and I'm not stopping. It's just that feeling of accomplishment. And I like being solo. And I just like doing, when I ride in that kind of, being with someone for a little while is good, but I don't know. There's just something about just kind of riding by myself. I'm very, with the work that I do, um, helping, taking care of people on tribal council, thinking of all the heavy stuff that we deal with. Um, when I ride, it really is my therapy. It really is my therapy. So it allows me to, even when I ride with a group, just having that time to be by myself, it really allows me to decompress and have my therapy. So that our tour really is that those hours by myself where I can just kind of have therapy.
Yeah.
It really does help,
Yeah,
physical
riding is
and
really like a
spiritual. Mm-hmm.
For sure. There's something so meditative about cycling, just like the repetitiveness of it and just the
Yes.
fact that you can just get lost in your own thoughts along the way.
I just love being outside. That was the thing. Arizona's beautiful, and being out in the cactus and just appreciating what's around me. I enjoy that. And then you see all your Team Yaqui and you're like, yeah, go Team Yaqui. And some of them you don't even know. I'm like, hey, go Team Yaqui. They're on our team. Yeah.
They have our jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. But most of them you do know. But you figure they're probably a family member of someone or, husband, wife, something like that.
You're all connected in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my last question for you was just a very simple question, which was why do you ride? Which I guess you kind of just answered because cycling is your therapy. But if you wanted to give any other answers as to why cycling is your therapy.
Well, it is now, but that wasn't originally why I began writing. I think when I began writing, it was really for physical exercise and to prevent diabetes. I don't have diabetes, but I do have family members that have it. And as I said, I work with a community and represent a community that is affected by diabetes. So that's why I started writing. But now it is really a therapeutic and preventative reason that I do it. And when I don't do it, I don't realize how much I miss it until I get back on it. And I'm like, oh, what was I, why am I not doing this more?
Hopefully that's the progression that outsiders also have, like yourself. Like you were saying before you joined, you were, making up all these excuses as to why you hadn't joined the team yet. But it goes from something that's like intimidating or something that you're just doing for exercise to something that you crave, that becomes your
Right.
therapy, which is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, with that, thank you so much, Minnie, for being a part of this summit.
Thank you. I appreciate you again. And thank you so much for including us and, Team Yaqui. And, I'm just one person representing just one story. But, there's so many great people that ride with Team Yaqui with so many different wonderful stories that they have. And that, wish all of them could do it. But so, yeah, you can always go back and hopefully maybe share our website or something that will give people some perspective of who we are and even our tribe. So thank you, Annalisa. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on. And if there's somewhere that I was going to refer people to the Instagram of it's at Pascua Yaqui Bike on Instagram, which is where you can find links on how to support the team. Is there anywhere else that you'd like to direct people to where they can follow the journey of Team Yaqui?
Yeah, well, you can do that one, and then I can even just the tribe, the Pascua Yaqui Tribe -nson.gov.
We'll put it down.
Okay,
we'll put it on the screen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Minnie. It's great to talk.
Thank you. Stay safe and good to see you, Annalisa. Hopefully we'll ride again sometime soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay,
Once it's all over. Bye.
Yes. Okay, bye-bye.